What do you expect to encounter inside a morgue but the Passed Away? Published by Kay in September of 2016, this exploration of a haunted abandoned morgue turns cold. Kay and crew arrive at the morgue at night, wandering around it and find a way in. They enter through a piece of metal exterior that has been ripped off. While exploring, they come across the beds where the people are examined.
Oh my god, that's the deathbeds. Wait, mate, that's fucking the deathbeds.
They also spot a creepy message on the wall that reads, "You're not supposed to be here. We will get you." In another room, dripping in red liquid, is the word beware.
Why does it say beware? What the is this? What?
Beware of what? Let's see. Down a hallway, they find a mattress on the floor. Apparently, someone is calling this mortuary home.
Is that a microwave here?
They then come across what might be the crematorium, or maybe just where the passed on are kept waiting.
Oh my god, mate, what are these doors? What is kept in there?
At one point, when they've just entered another room, one of the crew turns quickly around and pushes his friends back the other way. That's when they hurry out of the morgue. Kay explains that what he saw in the last room was the shadow of a man on the floor. When he entered, the man got up and glass started cracking. Was it the man whose bed they saw in the hallway? Or was this a ghost that was about to cause true havoc? What do you see around this corner? Published by Arte Morbid and originally posted on TikTok by Haunted Wesley E. Manor. This short clip is just one more proof that the manor is truly haunted. In a very dusty chamber of the castle, watch the corner of the arched doorway closely. What appears to be the figure of a small boy with glowing eyes peeks out for a moment before pulling back behind the barricade. He seems to be hiding. Is this a ghost? Or some small kid playing tricks in the castle? Most in the comments think it doesn't look human and call it very creepy. What do you think? I think we are going to be left with more questions than answers for the time being. A user named Josiah Worley has some of the best paranormal evidence on TikTok of a ghost haunting his room on the attic floor. He's recording his game table after a card leaped off the deck, and soon a cup is moving by itself. Or more accurately, a ghost is moving the cup if you ask Josiah. He handles the cup immediately after, and you can see there is no string. On another night, with one hand on the camera and the other hand on the mattress, Josiah watches an object move by itself.
Mom?
And later it crawls across the floor.
Bro. Are you good, bro? You good, bro? Do you see any strings? Did you guys see it move?
There are no editing cuts when he walks up to the medicine bottle. This object moved on its own. This happens night after night until finally he tries to communicate with the ghost. He makes the mistake of acting annoyed, which I think ramps things up considerably.
What's good? You're kind of making noises. You're kind of being really loud. It's really irritating. Okay.
In my opinion, the ghost wants nothing more than to be acknowledged, but Josiah wants nothing more than to be left alone. It's a conflict that's bound to create paranormal tension in the long run. The paranormal activity doesn't stop, and so he gets in the habit of recording his room all of the time.
It's almost sunrise. Almost f***ing sunrise. What was that? Where'd that go?
This ghost orb in particular curves around and appears in front of him when he wants to know what it is. The caption says maybe I should ignore it, but in my opinion that will only make things even more unpleasant for him in the long run. I think the ghost hates being ignored and is moving objects because it refuses to go unheard. I don't think it wants Josiah out of the apartment. When he says he's going to move out is when it becomes absolutely enraged.
I'm gonna end up leaving.
If anything, it wants him to keep it company forever. Josiah decides to use a ghost hunting TikTok filter called the reality ripple to finally catch a ghost sighting on his phone camera. It isn't long before objects are moving on their own again, and the colors on his screen change to indicate a ghost is near.
Do you guys hear that? No, that doesn't make sense. No, stop.
While looking at the still frame, gaze into the paranormal energy, you can see a yellow phantom figure reaching out. I've circled its head with long hair and pointed at its arm to help you better see it. The figure seems to be grabbing at the area where the object fell over. All of this creeps Josiah out badly enough to ask the ghost, point blank, to do something specific if he's safe.
I got one question for you. Am I safe? If I am, then please knock over the cups. Oh, you saw that.
A cup does not move by itself, but the ghost does push a bag off the table. This is definitely a reply, and I guess it means that he's not safe because it moves a different object than the one he asked it to. Ever since then, things have quieted down, so maybe Josiah just needed to ask for permission to live here, or maybe this strange and cryptic poltergeist is biding its time, letting him lower his guard before moving on to the next phase of his horrible haunting. A weird security video from southeastern Nigeria has been freaking people out since October of 2019. Animals seem to disappear in this haunted alleyway, and then it happens to someone who they've long suspected of being a witch. I think these security guards were bored and playing a joke. Notice how the yellow playback bar suddenly skips ahead whenever something disappears. It's pretty obvious that some editing has occurred. So my final analysis is no, this video is not real. What do you think though? This rare video was taken about a year ago. During the middle of a seance, the group is moving the pointer in a circle to clear the board when suddenly the camera woman asks,
"Can you manifest into an orb near Sam?"
There is a bit of an accent, but her exact words are, "Can you manifest into an orb near Sam?" Sure enough, a tiny ball of white light darts past the group shortly after. It could be editing, it could be a coincidence, or it could be a very polite and respectful ghost who is doing exactly as they were told. In the moment, you might not catch some unexpected apparition appearing around you. It's only when you play that moment back that you find it. Published by William Villas in September of 2013. He writes in Malay, "This video was filmed on August 3rd, 2013 when we were waiting for the troops to have a video clip that was still unavailable. The video shows a group of men sitting and talking in the darkness. They appear to be sitting in a stairwell as they laugh, completely oblivious to what's going on around them. You see a girl dressed in white with long black hair and shoulders hunched forward pass by slowly at the top of the stairway. The men must not have noticed in the moment as they continue on as usual, but they sure must have gotten the scare of their lives when they watch this clip back later on, only to make this mysterious and unexpected discovery. Once you see the apparition, you watch it again, over and over, because you can't look away from it. A girl is coloring in the living room when her papers blow away despite there being no breeze. Even if the windows are open, the curtains behind her do not move, so this simply shouldn't happen indoors. When the little girl comes back to stare in utter confusion, it just gets worse. The room is silent, no fans are on, so how does this happen? If this is real, then it definitely has to be the work of a poltergeist. Maybe it's already even attached to her. If you've heard wailing in an abandoned building, would you investigate? Published in April of 2021, these adventurers soon find they're not alone after all. While in a stairwell, they hear a sound upstairs and chase it down. They find no one in the hallway, but do find this strange barrier blocking their path. They ignore it and continue forward. After searching for a time, someone comes racing out of one of the rooms. They chase the figure, but when they get up the next flight of stairs, he has disappeared. After searching this floor for a while to no avail, they hear this voice. Where is it coming from? And whose is it? Though they attempt to chase it down, they never do find out. So I guess for now, it will remain a mystery. With the video title, Doberman versus Mailman, I think we're all expecting there's a dog at this street address who is really tired of seeing this mailman, and today it's going to deliver him a final message of its own to stay away. The mailman slowly approaches. Clearly, he's dealt with this Doberman before, but as the Doberman isn't doing the same slow approach, he quickly turns around and is soon being chased, running for his life. The dog catches up quickly and appears to snatch something from him and heads back to the house. The mailman's demeanor switches from terrified to looking like he's having a fun time. So maybe he was in on this from the start, or maybe he's happy the Doberman didn't try to snatch an arm or leg instead. A ghost hunting channel called Holy Walkers is exploring an abandoned building at 3 a.m. to catch some spirits on video. The first thing they notice is a discarded bike and a pile of clothing in the front yard. So either people occupy this building or something extremely terrible happened here. They keep thinking they hear voices, but nothing is really getting picked up on video. One thing they do record though is a noise that sounds like a firework or a shot.
What was that?
I think this sound might be paranormal because it's hard to tell its exact location, which means it might be residual energy from a bad event. After a bit of searching, they find a discarded round on the floor. While they are pondering what could have happened here, they hear another phantom shot and all go running. Either someone was trying to scare them off, or something seriously paranormal is there. A father and his 2 children explore this abandoned house as a strange way to bond together, but I think it might have ended up ripping them apart. They cross into the dark kitchen and immediately hear a wild growl, followed by low whispers and a pair of glowing eyes. They are hurrying out of the house as fast as they can, but debris is everywhere, and they have to move slow. Just when they are about to leave, they find the way blocked by their absolute worst fears. The thin ghoul is barely reminiscent of a human. Its features wide and dark and taking up large portions of its face. Its eyes and nose are missing. Its mouth nothing more than a wide cavern, extending from cheek to cheek. It's not unusual for a radiator to make noise, but imagine this noise coming from behind your radiator. The original upload of this video was deleted, but was luckily saved by other YouTubers. The creature who's been living behind his radiator starts to rattle it and makes a squeaking noise, prompting the camera to peer behind it into the darkness. After several minutes of peering and not seeing, the camera seems to focus in on something more distinguishable. An eye at the bottom of the radiator appears. It doesn't look like a mouse eye or the eye of any other small rodent, but rather the eye of a human-like creature. The sound of a monkey erupts. Watch it if you're brave, but be ready to jump. Exploring with Danny is checking out the neighborhood and commenting about how deserted everything looks nowadays. He heads to a nearby park and is looking at the water when he senses something scary in the woods nearby.
Hello? Whoa, hello? Hello?
This mysterious figure in all white looks like some kind of zombie, or a witch, or at the very least a scary person up to no good. And there's also a mysterious red light glowing behind it that looks weird too. Danny runs from the strange encounter and realizes to his horror that he's being followed. Just when he thinks it's lost his trail, the maniac creature comes crawling at him at a really weird angle and speed that looks supernatural and really creepy.
What the?
But here it just looks like somebody crawling on their hands and knees, so maybe it's not paranormal after all. This is not your average hanger-on. While hanging in this creepy forest, note in the first video, this is a 5-man crew. And yet, in the second video, a 6th person is lurking in the background, and he's acting very creepy. What is that dude doing back there? Is he part of the group, or do they even realize that he's there? Even if he is a member of the crew, I'd say they should keep an eye on him. His behavior seems a little bizarre to say the least. Maxim has returned to an abandoned cellar where a witch hid a doll in a coffin, and he probably should have kept away. Published by Russian channel Paranormal Point in May of 2022, Maxim does a ritual with the doll, lighting it ablaze. And he is told this by a witch. As he prepares to leave his camera in place and go outside, the witch reacts. And before long, things fall apart. After nearly being buried alive, he returns to the cellar to retrieve the items, after which he buries them. The spirit confirms that what he's done is correct.
Ты теперь свободен.
Do you think he's safe now? Me neither. Mysterious footage of a strange event caught on CCTV leaves one man wondering if they live in a haunted house when a bookshelf purges itself of reading materials in the dark of night. Soon afterwards, the door opens, and a man looks into the empty hallway like he's seen a ghost. Judging from his timid reaction, thrown objects are a classic sign of poltergeist activity. However, some people in the comments say this was done with strings. There's one book that falls in the opposite direction as the rest. Is this simple physics or another sign from the paranormal? These contractors are doing some roof work when a woman who none of them have ever seen before decides to randomly scale the ladder and walk around the roof like she owns the place. The workers eventually convince her to climb down the ladder after a minute of debate, but judging from how she comes down, it's obvious that she doesn't have much concern for her safety or anyone else's. Here she nearly pulls the ladder over on herself. She would have absolutely sent the ladder to the ground if she was even just a few rings lower.
What is she doing? What is she doing?
I don't know if she's under the influence of something or having a nervous breakdown, but I have trouble believing anyone in their right mind would try this next maneuver from any distance, let alone from so high up.
What the?
Next, she hangs off the ladder like a trapeze artist and does one of the craziest dismounts I have ever seen. Watch how badly the ladder wobbles. It really does look like it's going to give out at any second.
Oh my goodness, what's wrong with this lady?
The video ends as soon as she's on the ground, so I'm not sure what happens next. Hopefully they got her the medical attention she needs and did not let her go down the street to do something even more reckless. Jay Swingler is a YouTuber who claims to have been stalked for a long period of time in a very bizarre manner. He never sees a stalker face to face. Instead, they prefer to send Jay videos of himself that were taken without his knowledge, and some of these videos record very intimate moments of his life. Here, for example, is a random video of Jay fast asleep next to his girlfriend. It was apparently taken late at night through a window. To make things even worse, Jay says he has received these videos through the file sharing app called AirDrop, but by design both parties have to be within 30 meters of each other for the app to work, which means whoever sent this was very close by. I guess there's a possibility the video could be fake, but he seems genuinely fearful and truthful in his explanation. I think it is probably real, but I encourage you to watch the full video and let me know. What are the Jinns trying to hide? YouTube team Paranormal Mai confronts the lie of the Jinn in this scary video. After walking through this empty bare home, he returns to this room where he finds a strange setup.
Bismillah. Allahu Ekber.
Did a Jinn just enter this home? If so, where is it? I wouldn't look over your shoulder if I were you.
Karşımda duruyor sandım. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Question: what's scarier than a theater at night? Answer: a haunted one. Published to TikTok, this appears to show the phantom caretaker of a haunted theater. Jay says the theater is supposed to be empty, but he keeps hearing a noise, so he's searching the theater to find its source.
Alright guys, so I work at this old theater and been hearing a noise. It's a really beautiful theater, as you can see, if you can see it at all. But I keep hearing a noise in here, and there's not supposed to be anybody here, so...
Suddenly, he glimpses something in an upper theater box. He can't quite capture what it is, but after backing up a bit and zooming in, he manages to focus on this. It looks like the ghostly figure of a little boy dressed in a suit. Although the image is blurry, the scary figure is distinctly there, leering out from a theater box. Phantom of the Opera? An intruder? Maybe he's just a ghost fanboy waiting patiently for the play to start. A YouTuber named CTV911 is on his way to see the new Star Wars movie when the crowded mall elevator abruptly stops, leaving him stuck with other worried passengers. I can't exactly tell for sure, but I think one of them might be trying to force the doors open here, maybe to get more air into the elevator. Watch this part and let me know what you think they are trying to tell him not to do.
Hey, anybody up there? It's getting unbearably hot in here.
Have you tried the phone again to let them know someone's going down?
I could only imagine what would have happened if he had managed to actually get the doors open. After about 9 minutes, one of the passengers breaks down and has a full-blown panic attack.
You don't have a medicine at all?
It isn't until 40 minutes later that help finally arrives. Firefighters can't get the doors open, so they have to bust in through the top of the elevator. Their welcome entrance nonetheless sends shrapnel down on the waiting crowd.
Watch your eyes, guys. There's screws everywhere, too.
I'm still going up.
Hey, can I have it?
Yeah, you can have it. We don't want it.
Hey, we're trying to help.
They somehow squeeze a ladder into the elevator and send everyone up one by one. The YouTuber misses his movie but is glad he no longer has to spend another moment stuck in that cramped space. A while back, a YouTuber named Hey Charmaine somehow came across a creepy doll head that she found fascinating in a way that was hard to explain. She gets a really weird feeling from it and knows this is more than an ordinary piece of plastic. So she puts it by her bed with the camera on at night to see what happens. One night the creepy doll head moves all by itself, or so she says. It's pretty weird, but notice how the video has been sped up, a sign of stop motion photography. If this video was shown at regular speed, I would be more likely to believe it, but the movements look very abrupt, like somebody kept repositioning the doll a little at a time and sped up the video to create the illusion of movement. An instructor records himself and his students for a teacher evaluation. He's giving a lecture about safety when some strange activities start to happen.
Out and about. What dangers might we bump into? Stephen, don't do that, please. It's distracting. That's one thing. Someone give me another one then.
Strangers?
Strangers.
I just moved on his home.
Right. What we're gonna do? We need to. I tell you what, guys. Let's just go out for a minute.
By now, the class is in mild shock as they awkwardly line up and leave. According to the description of this video, later on they would say that they felt a strange static electricity in the air and a tingling sensation in their faces. After they leave, the possible haunting seems to continue for quite some time. Finally, the camera is knocked to the ground by an unseen force and the video ends. Heavenly Harmonies sound haunting. This one may actually be published to YouTube in June of 2020. This clip comes from a video that'll give you nightmares, according to the Portuguese title. The clip is gaining traction in the Spanish and Portuguese speaking YouTube communities, and after watching, you'll know exactly why it's become so popular. The footage shows a children's choir practicing, led by their enthusiastic conductor. They're likely preparing to perform for their parents in a Christmas program, judging by their Santa hats. At first, all seems normal, nothing out of place, that is until the shot zooms in on this child, who appears to be experiencing something out of the norm. The girl with long black hair leans her head back as if her actions are out of her control. She appears possessed, and her face, blurred to begin with, even disappears at some points, like it's erased from the video altogether. The young girl dips her head back several times in this manner, which is plenty of cause for concern, but it's her seeming to vanish from the footage only to re-emerge that's especially creepy. Is this girl possessed? Can the vanishing act be somehow explained? What is happening here? One thing's for sure, it's freaky. A YouTuber in India named Ankor Kashyap Vlogs claims to have filmed real paranormal evidence. A spooky ghost caught on tape while driving around late at night. A person on a bike is up ahead. They pull up to him, and what happens next is terrifying. The narrow, unlit bridge must have claimed a life or two, because the man on the bike is suddenly no more, as in gone, vanished. He expects to pass him by, but goes through him instead. Tell me if you can see any jump cuts where he paused the camera to make it look like the man disappeared. It seems like one continuous shot, and if so, then that's just plain creepy. It's always unnerving when a complete stranger shows up on your doorstep, but even more so when it's someone acting like this guy. Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by Miss Doolittle Tex, the Redditor explains that this man showed up on her doorstep and just stood there, not ringing the doorbell. The video shows exactly that. He walks slowly and haphazardly to the door, carrying some plastic bags. Then he just stands there for a moment, appearing to be listening at her door, before turning around and heading back up the sidewalk. He isn't wearing a mask, and as the Redditor says, left as soon as her dogs started barking, but not for long. He is seen on another security camera, walking along some grass behind the houses. He simply strolls along the water and then disappears, but moments later is seen racing back, jumping fences along the way. Apparently someone had also trespassed on her neighbor's property the previous night. It's unclear what he did there, how long he stayed, or what or who he's fleeing from, but the Redditor didn't want to find out what his plans were. She called the authorities. This man doesn't appear to be in his right mind. Whatever this man's situation, most agree calling the authorities was the right thing to do. A paranormal investigator named Jeff Stetik's world walks into an abandoned house through a door that was kicked open long ago. An old woman once lived here, and all of her possessions are still inside, mostly various clothing items and trinkets, and quite a few photos. He is looking at 2 black and white pictures of a boy, perhaps a grandchild or a son, when he hears a faint sound coming from further down the hall.
What was that?
He detects nothing with his untrained eye, but as his camera adjusts to the darkness, it does pick up a small outline pressed up against the wall. Perhaps the very same boy in the pictures he was just observing. All of this escapes him as he calmly exits, completely unaware of the boy cloaked darkness just one room away.
Patrick Janssen goes into the basement to retrieve some belongings, among them a camera, when he sees something out of the corner of his eye. He decides to start recording all around him since he has his camera anyway, and he's surprised by what he finds. Here it is again in slow motion, a black shadow passing from left to right as he walks forward. A shadow that looks different than his own is shown here at 32 seconds, which looks normal and comes from the proper angle. So tell me if Patrick is just good at video editing, or if there's truly a shadow person in his home, because I think something could be living down there rent-free.
This CCTV footage shows a young woman hurrying down a flight of steps, only to find something waiting for her at the bottom of the stairwell. The shadowy figure turns towards her, and if you look closely, you can almost make out the circular white outline of a face. She bolts away and the apparition quickly pursues. If this video is real, then nobody knows what happened next, or if she even survived. An office worker is sitting quietly at her desk when she throws down her phone at 1 minute and 18 seconds, which begins to flare up and sizzle. She leans over the device to clear her desk at 1 minute and 25 seconds, which I don't think was the right decision. If the battery pops here, her face is in direct range. They all gather around the broken phone and record it in case something else happens. It continues to sizzle from the middle of the screen, but other than that, it looks strangely fine. Try and translate what they are saying here if possible. This short clip captured an eerie figure in an office building at night, published by Emily Durkin in January of 2019. The lights are on in the second floor of this office building, and they're just bright enough to reveal this creepy silhouette. While the YouTuber thinks it's a ghost, the phantom is certainly a small one then. It does look like the silhouette of a human figure, but it stands very still and doesn't move from the frame of the window pane. Do you think this is a ghost? If not, what else might it be? And what the heck are they doing in this office building at night? This one left me with more questions than answers.
There's an alleged wolf cryptid that's said to roam the Allegheny National Park in Kane, Pennsylvania. The first sighting in 2017 describes it as tall, muscular, dark hair and strange legs. This newer sighting 2 years later at the same location does show a mysterious creature with long pointy wolf-like ears, but I'm not sure if it's real. First of all, when it takes a step at 44 seconds, the legs look normal and I'm pretty sure it's wearing clothes, not fur. Even the uploader of this video thinks it could have been a kid playing a joke. He says that the creature turned and ran after this video was taken, which I guess could have happened, but something about this video seems like it could have been made up, so I'm not exactly sure what to believe.
When Alexandra went exploring an abandoned schoolhouse in Ukraine, she never expected to go viral.
Что за запах? О, смотри, вон какая штука лежит.
On the first floor is a discarded tracksuit outside of a hole in the floor that looks like it could serve as the final resting place for many.
А вот это было разве?
Нет, это не было открыто. Здесь все было закрыто. Здесь ровный пол.
Там какой-то проход дальше, что ли? Ого, он как долго тянется вообще, посмотри.
Да, я вижу.
Он прям уходит вообще.
They also find a green barrel that's full of an unknown chemical. They can't read the faded label, but maybe a subscriber in Russia will know more about this.
Да, вот бочонок. По идее, не знаю, что тут написано, невозможно прочитать сейчас.
It could be acid. I've heard of people dissolving the past away in barrels full of acid just like this one. Across from a green barrel are footprints, and across from the footprints are pictures of people.
Ладно, пойдем на второй этаж тогда.
Да, ребята.
Это ты?
Есть кто?
Alexandra pauses at the stairs.
Мы с миром пришли, господи. Не надо нас пугать. На приколе, что ли, блядь?
Может, пойдем? Пока.
I think this video is 100% real because Alexandra does this thing some people do when they're really scared, where they talk to themselves out loud to keep from completely breaking down.
Так быстро выходим отсюда, это просто великолепно, потому что я сейчас реально насру себе в штаны и все, на этом все закончится. А вот вон мой великолепный, прекрасный выход.
With that said, I'm not sure this video is paranormal. The noise could be someone staying here. A scary person who I'm sure you and I would want nothing to do with. A man who countless others likewise wish they had never seen. We've all been warned never to pick up hitchhikers, but that advice especially goes for paranormal ones. This dash cam footage was posted in July of 2019. The dash cam's clock shows that the clip was taken around 2 in the morning. If you blink, you'll miss it, so pay careful attention. Driving down a dark and empty highway, the car is traveling at a fairly fast speed when, off to its right, in the empty lane, appears a figure. Some say it has its thumb out for a ride. Do you see it? Is it a ghost? Or is it just a regular person with a bad wish? After all, who hails a ride in the middle of the road during the darkness of night? Only someone who's looking to get run over, or at least doesn't mind testing fate, whether ghost or real boy. This isn't something you want to see while driving down a dark road at 2 a.m. It might very well send you into a terrified tailspin, making you the next ghost on the highway. TikToker Marlene Sanchez 052 thought her partner was joking when he started to behave like something was pulling him. It turns out he wasn't. Watch closely.
When I thought he was joking, but something was really pulling him.
His leg really does look like it's being yanked by something. This is not a natural movement that you make on your own. Some in the comments also note a child's giggle at the beginning of the clip. Is that child actually there? Or is it the child spirit pulling his leg? I think it's the latter, and that's truly terrifying because that kid is strong. This video takes place somewhere in the South American country of Chile during the middle of a street race. A number of cars rush past and soon an animal randomly materializes without making so much as a sound. Watch again in slow motion, and it really does appear as though the dog steps out of an invisible portal. You can see its front half emerge first, followed by the torso and back legs. Then again, the blurred edges around the dog's body does look like it could be made through editing. I am not an expert in video editing though by any means. So let me know if you think this is real or CGI and how you could tell the difference. In a small town in Texas, a church fitness class had begun one April morning in 2016. The attendees walked in only to find that someone had taken the instructor's life. 45-year-old Terry Bevers was found on the floor. There were no leads except for this security footage. You may think the person in this footage is someone here to help, but it's actually worn by whoever committed this terrible act. The culprit wore a full SWAT uniform, going room to room in the church, possibly looking for more victims. To this day, this person's identity remains a mystery. What hides in the shadows can oftentimes be shadows themselves. Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by Mego White, the Redditor explains that she and her husband were away from home over a weekend and set up the motion detector Alfred camera app in their room for the surveillance. When they returned from their trip, they were met with this unusual and terrifying video. The clip shows a fuzzy bedroom backdropped by a doorway with either a light on beyond or a natural source of light casting inside the other room. That light shifts as something is apparently moving enough to set off the motion sensor. In fact, that something appears to pass right across the doorway, blocking out the light beyond for a moment. You can make out a distinct figure. It's more like a shadow or a vague or even invisible figure that still somehow manages to distort the light. There is definite movement, but from what, we can't know for sure. Redditor JJ740 asks if there was an intrusion, to which Meg answers that all the doors and windows were locked and nothing was missing. She also notes that strange things have been occurring in this house for a matter of months. Like what? Meg explains we can always see a shadow walking out of the office through the wall into my closet, and I always thought I was seeing things until we caught this on camera. She also says in another comment that her kids have heard people talking, and her 2-year-old has even started laughing at something in empty rooms of the home. A Redditor writes, "That's actually genuinely creepy." Of course, as with every potentially paranormal clip, you have your insect theories, but most agree that the clip looks legit and not edited or faked. What do you think? Are you freaked out? I certainly am. On April 8th, 2018, a group of 7 friends traveled to a large tunnel in Mira Mesa, California that is legendarily haunted. Thumps, whispers, and even the voice of a little girl who may have been trapped during a flood are all said to be heard down there. So it comes as no surprise when they start hearing moans before they even get inside, possibly warning them to come no closer.
Caesar, open no.
They are barely deep inside at all when I hear a girl yelling something here at 6 minutes and 30 seconds. They go further and soon need their lights to see. They keep hearing whispers, but they aren't sure if it's the wind or water, so they are taking extremely small steps at this point to hear every sound. Everyone is being as quiet as they can, and that's when they hear 2 loud footsteps right in the middle of their group that none of them make. Something is standing with them. And this raspy whisper does not sound like any of them at all.
Someone's talking. I'm not kidding, dude.
By now, they feel surrounded by spirits, and they may have really gone way too far. They talk about turning around, but decide they didn't drive 2 hours all the way out here to turn around now, and that's when something makes their decision for them. What's crazy is that these footsteps don't even echo. Definitely paranormal. The group goes running back, but even though they are terrified, they can't resist going a little further and seeing what's ahead of them one last turn. That's when they find an overhead pipe that is essentially small and slimy, and their light explorers above. I think they might finally see a spirit here at 2 minutes and 38 seconds. It looks almost like it's wearing an old helmet of some kind, or maybe it was just his light bouncing off the walls. He returns the next month on May 9th with different friends and even higher expectations than before. Expectations that are met and exceeded. Voices again greet them at the entrance, and you can hear a girl's voice really clearly here after he's finished talking about how scared this place makes him.
Really darker now. I'm scared. Oh my gosh, I can't flash a light in front of my face. It's too bright.
This time they are more prepared and assign someone to keep guard behind them so they aren't surprised again. After 6.5 minutes, something new happens. Technical difficulties with the camera could be from electromagnetic disturbances given off by paranormal energy whenever a particularly powerful spirit is near, and I don't think it's a coincidence that they hear this deep and loud groan exactly 1 minute later.
Okay. I told you I wasn't kidding.
They are all getting really scared at this point, so they grow quiet and press on. They reach the same part of the tunnel where they heard running footsteps before, and again hear something in front and behind.
Scared of the water to like surprise.
Okay, now we heard it from both sides. Alright, let's go.
Not wanting to join the ranks of the spirits below, they quickly get out of there before anything more serious happens. I think at this point, after watching two different group of friends going from skeptical to scared out of their minds, we can definitely conclude that the Mira Mesa tunnel is beyond haunted. Both videos don't have a lot of views despite being more than a year old, so the fact that he would drive 2 hours to visit the place again says to me that he is doing this because it's genuinely haunted instead of trying to make a viral video. All in all, there's over half an hour of raw footage between the two trips that's worth taking a look at. There really are too many paranormal moments for me to cover in one countdown. Most of us have watched videos that return to us in our sleep. Imagine a robot child with deadened eyes. Would you want to be greeted with such a smile? TechCrunch calls Affetto the wild boy head robot of your nightmares. A comment on this video clip by YouTube user Ragnarok AT confirms that. Thank you for bringing my absolute scariest nightmare to life. I won't be sleeping for the next few days. Once this robot grins at you, you probably won't either. The idea was to give the robot human-like emotions, and that's what these researchers did, but for some reason the result is so uncanny it gives you the chills. A video of the Affetto prototype was first posted in 2011. Back then it was even scarier than today's version. Researchers have since added facial skin and hair, but that doesn't seem to remove the deadness from the robot's eyes. In fact, it likely makes the cyberhuman seem even more bizarre. Apart from the creepiness of the robot's facial expressions, blades and spikes jut out of its body, as though it's a machine meant to destroy you. The three researchers wrote of their continued progress with the robot, citing new methods to create more expressivity in the second-generation model of Affetto. These findings, the researchers claim, will allow for deeper interactions with humans due to the broader range of robot emotions. While all of this is very technical, viewing the video clip will inspire an entirely visceral emotional reaction, and believe me, the movements of this robot child will not leave your nightmares soon. Ghost investigations are even scarier in another language. In this video posted to YouTube in December of 2018, ghost investigators attempt to infiltrate an abandoned house that we can only guess is haunted. At least it looks that way. While exploring the home, the investigator keeps hearing things moving, debris being unsettled, and from the way he's jerking his camera around, it seems he's sensing movements around him. What is in this home with him? The place appears as though someone just picked up and left. It's covered with debris and looks like it was abandoned in a state of chaos. While creeping around some upstairs room, the ghost investigators appear to sense someone or something, and that something grabs a hold of him. It's clear he's struggling with a force in the home. He tussles with it and for a moment is dragged backwards by the force before he escapes, racing out of there like his life depends on it, which it probably does. What is going on in this video? Is there any explanation as to what pulled this ghost investigator backwards? It certainly looks real to me. For fear of knowing, don't answer. After all, I don't think 99% of people could handle the answer.
어딨어? 자신 있으면 나와봐.
When you're babysitting, sometimes you feel like someone may be in the house, watching you. This TikTok video will have you double checking that all your doors are locked. The dude in the video, TikTok handle Tanner J. Shelton, claims that he just put the kids that he's babysitting down for the night when he heard laughter. It was 10:30 p.m. At first he was annoyed, as it was the third time he had to tell the kids to get to bed, as the noises were coming from the baby's room. He assumed the other kids had woken up to check on their sister, so he checked the baby monitor and he saw this. What is that in the top left corner? Looks like a hand reaching in the baby's crib. Redditor MXGI Wiz writes on Reddit, after this video, the infant was kidnapped apparently. His caption was, "I'm never babysitting again." Though I think it would be on the news if that happened, and this man would certainly be a suspect, but that doesn't stop people from hypothesizing. Redditor MMocker98 adds some intrigue to this story, recounting that there's an even stranger video on this guy's YouTube channel. Mocker writes, "I believe the one with the woman, video number 5 I think, could possibly be fake, but what if it's not? What if this is all real? It's giving me this weird gut feeling, and I can't find too much information. You know what they say, always trust your gut. What is your gut telling you about this one?" Our next entry reunites us with Dark Ghost, a Russian paranormal investigator who has encountered some truly terrifying entities. However, this latest video quite possibly takes the cake in what he himself describes as the scariest house he has investigated. An email with coordinates brought Dark Ghost to the location in question. According to the message's text, the girl who sent it claimed an elderly couple once resided there and experienced countless disturbing occurrences, mainly from the home's basement. Among them were unexplained noises, including full conversations and something attempting to open the basement from below. After the couple passed, the home was inherited by their relatives. However, they refused to move in, and the home has been abandoned ever since. Dark Ghost's investigation starts off quiet, and he states he hasn't experienced anything, and it is already reaching 11:30 p.m. He then proceeds to set up stationary cameras, and that is when the activity starts. Not long after he leaves the room, the static cam witnesses a glass move on its own, sliding close to the edge of the shelf it is on. None of the other glasses are disturbed, and it wasn't knocked by anything, as it wouldn't slide in such a manner if it were. It is almost as if something is either pushing or pulling it. It is then tipped off the edge and breaks. Dark Ghost was in the middle of explaining to his camera what he did when he heard the glass break, and that's when things get really crazy. Without warning, the entire house begins to aggressively shake, enough to send bricks collapsing from the ceiling. This lasts only a few seconds before ending just as suddenly. Dark Ghost, well stunned, thankfully is uninjured and moves in to assess the damage. As he is inspecting the kitchen, where the static camera is, he is startled by what sounds like a floorboard being pushed up, followed by several loud bangs from the other room. They sound either like a fist pounding against a wall or floor, or very heavy footsteps, but it is difficult to tell. Inspired by what has happened, Dark Ghost decides to start an EVP session in an attempt to communicate with whatever is there.
Кто вы?
He starts by asking if anyone from the spirit world is present, and despite receiving no immediate answer, eventually the device comes back with "help us." He continues to press for the entity to identify itself, and soon after it responds with, "We've been trapped." When asked where, it responds, "He trapped us down here." Earlier, when Dark Ghost heard the floorboard move, it has been covered in rubble. It again requests help and asks Dark Ghost to open the basement. However, 30 seconds after this request, something else appears to come through and say, "Don't open it," followed by, "They're lying." Clearly, there are multiple spirits communicating, each with contradicting requests. After several more requests to open the basement, an entity replies with a chilling phrase, "I will deliberately eat your heart."
Я сейчас, друзья, специально...
By now, it is clear one of the entities there has malicious intent against Dark Ghost, and while he initially states he will not open the basement, and receiving some talk back as a result, curiously gets the better of him and he decides to lift the floorboard and venture down. At first, he attempts to use an RC car fitted with a camera, but unfortunately the camera battery dies. Despite his better judgment, he ventures down himself. After a few minutes of crawling without incident, he stumbles across a small bone in the dirt. As he takes a closer look, a sudden noise as if something hitting metal can be heard in front of him. At the same moment on his static camera, left to hold to the basement, a shadow figure can be seen against the cupboards in the kitchen. As it vanishes, he emerges and claims to have heard hissing from below. As he is working to get the boards back in place, a very loud hiss sends him rushing out of the hole. This proves to be all he can take, and all for his safety, he returns the board to the floor and decides to leave it for the night. Something in the home clearly wants out, and to cause harm, but one must wonder who the other poor soul trapped with it is, willing to warn others not to fall for the lies the other spirit says. Are there ghosts all around us? That's what Tesla's tracker technology has me thinking. Posted to TikTok by Piero1519. This Tesla owner entered a cemetery where his vehicle's technology detected life or non-life nearby. A figure can be seen appearing digitally on the car's screen, clearly ahead into the far right of the car.
And look at this. And nobody's there. The cemetery. Wow. Wow.
So I need to, it shows it like a
Flashing his camera to the location indicated, Piero shows that there's no one there at all. All that's there are a couple of gravestones and an otherwise empty graveyard. Some in the comments are saying that the Tesla assumes the tombstone is a person, since it doesn't have a tombstone detection feature. But wouldn't the Tesla then detect people in anything human shaped that its technology hasn't been taught to identify? That would just be weird. TikToker Namaste says, ghost detection is an added feature of Tesla, but Leah Jordan takes a turn writing, it's all fun and games till it gets in the car with you. Let's hope that ghostly terror remained in its eternal bed. Jada Blaze has accidentally caught something mysterious while taping a house in Denver, Colorado that she now suspects is haunted. Take a look at what she claims is a real ghost sighting caught on video.
Okay, here is the finished product. Here's this room. Here's this room.
Something strange can be seen floating over her shoulder, and then whatever it is mysteriously disappears. The unexplained footage seems to show an object rapidly disappearing and reappearing in many different places at once, totally defying the laws of physics but not those of the paranormal. The creepy sighting was a ghost figure to her, and I wanted to know what this bizarre moment was to you. If you were thinking this was a dust particle, think again. The house just received a deep cleaning and is completely dust-free. That means it's either special effects or something supernatural. Help me decide which. Miss ROCIO 4441 published this haunting video in June of 2011, alleging a ghost at the local McDonald's who appeared there at night between 2:30 and 2:50 a.m. In the video, you can certainly see what appears to be a shadow floating around the restaurant. According to the YouTuber, the security camera only turns on when it captures movement. One person in the comments claims to work at this very McDonald's. Ya boy Dan916 said, I work night shifts in this store and I get the creeps all the time. Viewers disputed this video as well though, while some saying it could be a bug on the lens. I don't know though, but watching the shadow move around this footage certainly gives me the creeps. Could it be a past customer or McDonald's employee who passed away at this restaurant? I guess we'll never know. In the woods near Crybaby Bridge, this paranormal crew asks the spirit if he likes their company, and the spirit answers. Published by Hauntings of Ohio in February of 2020, the scary paranormal communication was captured on video. The video shows the crew communicating through a spirit box. After posting the video, this is the answer they receive.
Do you like our company? What the?
The guys say this is one of the clearest and most demonic voices they've ever caught on camera. Terrifying though it is, at least the answer was yes.
Do you like our company? What the? Dude!
That was crystal clear, dude.
Yes.
A possible ghost sighting in the Indian town of Kudail has left construction worker witnesses wondering what it was they saw walking around late at night. You can hear them talking about the figure when suddenly it lets out a loud scream that all of them hear over the construction equipment. This video is real, warns the uploader, who says that this was taken by his sister's friend at 2:30 in the morning. I'm not sure if I believe him or not, but if I lived in the area, I definitely wouldn't take the chance of walking around early in the morning and finding out. Bejewel TV claims to have recently made contact with the supernatural world during a live stream taken at a haunted graveyard in Indonesia. He lights some incense and then weird things are caught on camera with absolutely no wind blowing.
Allah Akbar.
40 seconds later is when it happens. Paranormal contact.
Ya, ini dia. Halo. Halo. Dia diam aja. Mbak.
I would say this has to be special effects except for one thing. These scary moments were caught on live stream with a live chat that was amazed at the ghost sighting. Even with that said, I still think this video could have been pre-recorded because he never seems to directly address what the chat has to say, nor does he call anybody by their screen name, all of which indicates this video might not be live. The ghost doesn't say anything to him. At 15 minutes and 58 seconds, it reaches out to him shortly before disappearing back to wherever it came from. This could simply be a digital image of somebody superimposed over the video, but I'll wait to see what you have to say before making my final decision on this one. Someone is watching you. Published by Paranormal Voyages in January of 2022. This paranormal crew is not just paranoid. As they're tuning into the spirits and or demons of this place, one of the crew sees something pop up outside through the window.
There's something outside.
Here. Here.
Later, as she's wearing headphones to listen in to what the spirits have to say, she feels someone, and then that someone speaks.
Who are you? What are you?
Whoa, move her chair, it said, in a deep man's voice.
Let's see you move the chair.
After the demon says to touch her and make her cry, the crew urges the demon to leave.
Make her cry, he said.
No, you cannot make her cry.
You're gonna have to leave. You can't do anything negative.
The woman looks very shaken up, and she says she felt weird vibes. Are these the vibes of a demon? More than likely. A man is traveling down a road in Indonesia when his path is blocked by a small child. He stops just in time, only to find the person has vanished. It looks like a little girl with slumped shoulders and all of her hair in front of her face. He gets off his motorcycle to look around for her, perhaps worried that he knocked her back into the woods, and then this happens. She appears for only a split second and then disappears. I understand why he would get off of his motorcycle if he was worried about her safety and wanted to look for her. But if this were real, then why did he run away instead of climbing back on his motorcycle? Scared or not, I think most people would have climbed back on their bike and taken off, so I'm not so sure about this one. She also kind of looks like the girl from The Ring, so maybe this is just CGI. An urban explorer decides to check out a house that has a reputation for being beyond scary. If only he knew. Upstairs, he finds an open closet that he decides to explore, like he has done with everything else in the house so far, a decision he soon regrets. Large fingers wrap around the corner and send him running down the stairs as something screams behind him. I really wanted this not to be real, so I kept reading through the comments, but the uploader never says it's fake. A lot of people think it's real, but the low resolution makes me think it's edited, or at least I really hope so. Thank you so much for getting me to 50,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 60,000 subscribers next. Thank you.